bro, you're hot. Let's go.
So
I'm in terrible life.
I was thinking about, you guys. I was just telling you guys this weekend. I was with some friends. We were playing this game, Burnout. Have you ever heard of it? It's a.
We said Burnout. What was that the name of the game?
Blank slate.
No, blank slate. Blank slate. Dadgummit. So it's blank slate.
We're talking about Burnout.
It's so close, but it's this game to where it's like you have little cards, and everyone. It's like a little marker board you write on, right? And then someone at whoever's turn it is holds up a card, and it has one word blank, or blank in the word, and what you have to do is finish it, either on the front or the back, and it has to be one word. It can't be like one of the last ones we had is it was team blank, and I put teamsters. That doesn't work. It's got to be a word. The word that you
like
add
team
on,
player.
It's got to stand on its own.
Okay.
And so it was funny because we were playing, and so much of the words had to do with that went with kind of like relationships, and it would be like a word to where it's like couples blank fight. So like everyone puts fight. The cool thing about the game is if you put a word that no one else puts, you get 3 points. So whoever's the most original gets more points. Everyone that picks the same thing gets 1 point.
All right, cool.
So like if 6 people are there and everyone picks 6 different things and they make sense, it's not fake, everyone gets 3 points. So it's kind of fun. Well, what I was trying to
play that.
What I was telling you guys on the front end of this deal is
We just play it right now.
Yeah, just get it out and let's play it. What I was trying to say is we were playing it, and so many of the topics had to do with like relationships, and then a good percentage of them also had to do with like just your past, the things you've had to do, things that just are heavy, and a lot of it had to do with and Kellen brought up this topic of burnout, which clearly burnout can happen in your job, it can happen in a school situation, it can happen in relationships, but I think one of the biggest areas that we talk about burnout's going to be like church hurt, right? Church hurt. Like you go through this process so many years, and you have to get fed this thing, and if you're not involved, and my biggest joke about it is, and some of the people that might be watching this are going to laugh about it, in my day and age, which is pretty similar to Kellen's age, we all know Thad's like 12, but the biggest thing in my age was when you went to church camp, if you didn't get called into the ministry, when we came back from church camp, you were definitely not. You weren't on. You're not going to be on the praise and worship team. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be any of this because you didn't get called to ministry at camp. Or even the best one was this: is Kellen. Do you remember? What was the thing? There was one in Florida. Everyone went. Master's Commission.
I've never heard of.
You ever heard of that, Thad? You ever heard of Master's Commission?
No.
So back in the late 90s.
Sounds kind of cultish.
Sounds super cultish.
You know what's funny is, and it's not funny, but man, unfortunately, no one's bulletproof, and a lot of the people that have been involved in these in leadership roles have crumbled over the last few years. So funny that you say that. Master's Commission is simply this: it's this program that you go to when you've been called into the ministry at camp or at church, and you're going to go there for 2 years, and they're going to teach you how to be in the ministry, and you can't have relationships.
Oh, bro, that is like straight up cult.
There was a few in the country. It was super popular.
It's a nice cult, though.
But, like, rough.
I think when they started
no relationships.
the intentions were good. But as you begin to develop something, and there's a lot of control involved and a lot of tradition, you start to, again, just throw a rule book at people and say, this is what you have to do. And what ends up happening is you're bringing people into this process that 1 week ago had like 14 girlfriends, and it's a rule now. You can't be physical or have a girlfriend. Dude, they're getting kicked out all the time because they're not going to be able to follow it. And so what happens, I think, for people that go through these hard, strenuous, religious processes throughout their teen life and into the early adult, and then in the next system, you get this burnout. It's like, this can't be a Jesus thing to where we're just completely always living a rule book.
No, and it's not. I mean, interestingly enough, one of the verses in the New Testament talks about Jesus coming, and it was kind of, you no longer live under that stringent law.
Right.
Because you have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, the new covenant. So you're not, it's love God, love people. And it's not a habit. Like, it's not an anchoring of these stressful habits and you have to change and all this stuff. and more stuff and more stuff and more stuff. It's more of a relationship, right? It's God restoring and wanting that relationship. I will say, though, what's crazy about not all churches, but a lot of them, and being called to ministry, like, what's that mean? And where? Like, why is it inside of a building? Why is it traditional?
Well, dude, isn't that kind of this religious script that everyone's been living for so long anyway? Can we not? I mean, there's got to be some structure to our lives around how we're going to live and trying to be based to where we're in relationship with the Father. We call it abiding in some areas. So abiding means you're trying to connect with the Father on a very consistent basis. I'm just having a hard time with and they may cancel us over this, but with the things you have to do to be a Christian. I mean, I may be the wrong one here. You may set me straight in a minute, but I'm struggling so much, and I think that this is where a lot of people are struggling with. Dude, it's so hard just to be a Christian. You mean just to love God and believe in Him, and I do, but then all of a sudden there's this, and this, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
So you're saying it's hard to be a religious Christian and not a relationship Christian.
Well, I think Bryan's trying to say, what does that mean? And, we've had a lot of traction because I'm not called into a building into formal ministry. I run a business, you run a business. We spend half our time, we circle up talking about these incredible things that we've been through the last couple of years and not judging the person on the other side of the table. But what happens at the last cigar? The person on the other side of the table from Bryan and I start asking questions. Be like, what was that like? And they have genuine wants and concerns and deep reflection. And we were just a sounding board. And we're like, yeah. And we were able to share our testimony, beliefs that we've had, and it's their own journey. But what we didn't do was be like, man, if you want to go all in, here's the 57 things that get cut off tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it
if you don't do it, then you're not in the ministry.
So can I share a really cool conversation I had to kind of break the religious weirdness?
Yeah, sorry, I'm taking vitamins today. It's been a busy day. You got to take them though. It's fine,
dude.
Everything's gonna be fine.
I've got a brother in Christ of mine, just gnarly, but his background, like the things that he's seen and lived through, are incredible. Most people can't listen to him, but one of them, I mean, he was selling drugs, and he was in heroin houses for a good stint. And this guy found mercy and grace and started getting in the Word and asking all these questions, right? And then he calls me because he's having a fallout with his girlfriend, but he's moved her in. And he asked me, hey, I'm struggling with this. Does God want me to quit having sex with my girlfriend? He's like, because I'm reading this in Scripture, but does he really want it? And I asked him, I said, hey, because I've walked with him. That's the key too, Bryan, right? Is I know a lot of this guy's story. I said, hey, you took him back there. I said, does he want you to stay away from these things because of this? I said, yeah. And I said, you wanted to be obedient with God in this and this and this. And I said, do you know what you're actually asking me? Because you're saying, hey, Holy Spirit, you have full reign and rule to lead me and guide me in these 4 areas that I've turned over to you, but I want my relationship to be mine. So I don't want you to operate in this area. And just hearing me, I said, right. So man, you do what you do. And he cussed, and he's like, all right, hold on. And he hung up on me. And then he called me 3 hours later. He's like, so I moved out. I was like, cool, man, how you feeling? What's that feel like? And he's like, I miss her, but I know it's not right. And I'm really excited. I asked God, I got in Scripture, I found my answer. And he's like, you asked me, and my answer is yes. I do want God in my relationships moving forward. They've never been a good thing. And that's this foreign, not to all churches, but to most churches, that's just this foreign, steps that this person's taken to really understand and let God change parts of his heart and really change his direction. But no, nothing's perfect tomorrow. All those desires don't go away. So it's something you got to submit over to the Lord.
Well, talking about burnout, you and I had a great experience the other night. We go to, and you may have been talking about the same night, the cigar, just a couple nights ago. And we're having good discussion. I mean, the whole purpose of the sit down was kind of more of a business type of conversation, but it always turns. Really because I think we always want it to turn if it can. And we had some great people there sitting at the table for it to do so. One of them specifically is definitely wanting and desiring for changes in life to kind of be different, and he wants to get more and get deeper, which, we need to be praying for him right now. I'm reading a text message. He's actually in the ER. He's having some chest pains. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
And but I thought it was cool because it was a great opportunity for him then to see what happened next. Is some police officers came into the establishment that we were in.
The guys that you asked to tackle you for TikTok views?
Yes, that's got to happen. But
my buddy's like 8 of you, by the way. The guy that he asked to tackle him is like a giant.
Well, and here's the deal. Just
Like
to
a
be
mountain
real,
man.
I'm going to have to let this guy catch me because
I don't know. He's
pretty
faster
freaking
than he
fast.
looks.
But,
Brian's not
but I'm
fast.
willing to let this thing happen for entertainment purposes. So if you're a police officer out there and you want to run me down and tackle me,
Practice over that.
we're interviewing now. But on
Can we
grass.
do it? Can we do it like off maybe like a elevated structure into a foam pit? Because that'd be pretty sick too.
It's got to be real. It's got to be something real.
I mean,
they're going to be loaded up. All their whole equipment, the whole thing, as if they were taking off to catch someone in a neighborhood that they were hunting.
Well, my thing is one of your best friends is the sheriff. This is an easy.
I don't want to get weird
phone
on
call
the sheriff,
here.
but he knows that it would be an act for him to catch me, and I don't think that he wants that.
And he's too mature. He's too mature for the
maybe not
request.
Vic, but like maybe
He was
one of his
like-
boys can
Vic was like,
come get
tackle
you.
you in my full uniform. Pass. But what I'm getting at is these police officers walk in because they're not called to the place we're in. They're called to a parking lot next door.
Yeah.
And so something's going down in that parking lot. And someone where we were at made the phone call. So they were just coming in to kind of check in. And when they came in, Kellen happens to know one of these guys. Well, the cool thing is this guy kind of engaged us. And we started to have really deep conversation just almost right out of the gates about it. And we see this in FFR with that process with Fit First Responders to where and how I got really connected with the homicide team is these guys, and Thad, you've been around it, Jason might be driving to a date night or a T-ball game, phone rings, he gets to drop everyone off and go to work. It doesn't matter what time it is.
Right.
That's sacrifice. And lots of police officers live in that same world. So this gentleman we're talking to the other day, he gets called to like a DOA, has to go to the DOA, do the thing, and then leave to go to a wrestling tournament. And if you just really, we're so used to fast pace in America and we just live and do what we have to do. If you just slow down for 30 seconds and think, oh my gosh, that guy had to go to a scene where someone's dead, whatever that means, do his job, get in his car like nothing happened and drive home and change clothes and go to a wrestling tournament.
Well, in this one, it was the process of somebody passing. Like they couldn't save him.
It's just nuts to think about the emotional overcorrections that are happening. And so as we're talking to this guy, though, it just kept getting deeper. I mean, and he was open, meaning a lot of times when people are ready to just spill over, they're hurting. And it's the next possible outlet that's usually going to be where they spill over into. And hopefully that's going to be a healthy place or something safe. A lot of times it's an addiction. A lot of times when people get burned out or they just max out on emotions, you turn to a comfort piece, some temporary addiction. And we talk about it with men all the time too. It could be, the masturbation thing. A lot of times it's an alcohol thing. It could be dip. Men that get stressed out, I know them, they constantly dip. And almost all of them say, yeah, if I didn't have any stress, I wouldn't dip. Well, that's not a reality. So it's an addiction, and they turn to it. It's an emotional trauma response, and so
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
All they're doing is coping. They're not working through anything.
yeah. And what your buddy did, I think that he felt immediately something was safe, and he knew he could just go, okay, I don't have to bottle this up anymore. And that we were able to pray with this guy. Kellen was able to pray with this dude, and I believe because he got to work through something there just for 10 or 15 minutes, that it was healing for him. It didn't fix everything. It didn't change anything, but he got to let a few things out of his mouth there that he was struggling with. You'll remember something pretty private to him, but it wasn't something that you would have expected a guy to say on duty in the process of getting in and out of a job. It was something that was weighing on his heart pretty heavy. And he got to release that.
Well, and it's the dynamic too, because when police officers are around other police officers, they all deal with it, and so even if they share, they're going to keep guarded.
Yeah,
because that's the culture.
We got to be tough, and we got to get it
Dude,
done.
when you go to a counselor, you have the same kind of weird culture. They're there to kind of help you. And so you do this stuff, but there's not just this, like, and I'll say it this way. There's not this, like, if a guy can't even articulate it, like, I just want a hug.
Right.
Like, I want to get this out, and then I want people to have a capacity to, like, feel it with me and just hug me and let me get some time to really grieve some of this stuff that's been, I mean, the stuff that got unpacked there was incredibly heavy for any human, right? And Bryan, he and I had conversations before, and so that helped with some of the safety. But you're right. Anybody, and we've been talking about deep things around that table, anybody that has capacity and shows empathy can be a safe place to just let somebody get something out. And, man, pray for them or hug them. I mean, there's not a, I mean, in a weird way to say it as a guy, we do it with our big, tough guys all the time. People need a freaking hug. And it's not weak to do it.
Right.
I think something really important that you said, though, was the whole spewing. You know, before we go to the stress outlets, a lot of times if we understand, and it's not weak to take a rest, by the way, it's wise to understand these burnout signals. If we understand ourselves well enough to know that we're starting to bottle things up, or we're starting to talk excessively to people when we usually kind of mind our words.
Right.
Like, those things usually happen before the coping mechanisms that are so toxic to us physically or mentally.
I just think burnout is such a dangerous place for people in every category of life. And what makes it so dangerous is that it seems that to be able to get the help that you need for it is always kind of difficult. And what I mean by that is, that guy comes in the other day, and you and him have enough of a personal relationship to talk. Outside of God doing some work, had you not been there, we would have maybe felt still some kind of a presence to talk to him, because there was something there. There was something, I think, even without you guys connecting. He engaged. The other ones didn't. He kind of engaged. So maybe we're able to kind of talk a little bit. Maybe we're able to pray with them, which is obviously super powerful, needs to happen. But there was something extra there with you guys having that relationship, and it was kind of another kind of point to where God does work things out timing-wise for people. But I know there's a lot of people out there kind of in this burnout, they don't know what to do with it, and they just keep getting up and going to bed and getting up and going to bed, and eventually that's going to break, either in the form of a addiction, a cheating, or some kind of outlet that gets them out of that torture.
Yeah.
That's what it is to them.
When I think, from a performer standpoint, one of the things you said really important, they're going to keep pushing through and kind of going to bed and waking up. That's a performance issue. But
we all have that.
Not everybody. Some people shove it down and they get hard and they shut off all their emotions. They'll still kind of go through the day, but now they're like very guarded, very closed off, very sharp with everything.
Yeah,
so they're not
everything's
even
on edge.
They're not
Everything's
even
on edge.
performing anymore.
Well, and then I've got a buddy too that other people checked on. Dude, he hit a season high performer and got in bed and curled up in a ball and didn't leave for 20 days.
Dude, you said you weren't going to
That's
talk
shut
about
down.
that on here. I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good. So I've almost done that before, by the way, that you say that in, because I don't know who the guy is. I'm joking, but I don't know that I would ever do that. But you know what? I can relate to thinking about what it would be like if I just didn't get up. But you have to, because eventually you got to turn your phone off, or you have to get up. But I can see how they get there, because I feel it sometimes. I'm like, if I can just hide. The crazy part is that I don't know that everyone has this. If I didn't show up somewhere for some period of time, there's a number of people that would probably come looking. There are people out there that don't really have that.
No, they don't.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
People
lot of
that
people
work
out
in
there.
remote jobs and stuff like that. People that are, hey, I kind of run a one-man show. I'm run my own practice of something. And it's like,
Or they burn relationships. Maybe they have been hard to get along with. Maybe. And, we want all of that to be redeemed and reconciled in their life. But in the hardest times of their life, maybe they've burned so many bridges that there just isn't partners and relationships available to them. And all of a sudden, we've got another statistic because no one could reach them. Or they were, in a way that I don't like this word at all, but it is kind of a real thing, not reachable. No one was paying attention, or they did their best to kind of hide. And that's why I think Christians, and we like to talk about men's situation, and this would apply to some of our scenarios, Kellen, is it's really our job to turn stones over. we need to be asking the questions. If we're running into people out at events and different places that we are and having relationships with people, if we believe what we say we believe, it is 100% our job to turn stones over, which is kind of like your all's deal with asking how people's hearts are. Even if they lie to you, it's the opening to a conversation. They know it's going to come, and maybe eventually they're going to feel safe to answer you. But at minimum, you're making it known that we're going to turn stones over. It's not just going to be some simple stuff like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
There's going to be digging.
Well, I looked at this in the frame of everybody's asking their kid how your day was, right? And just the intentionality with kids to change that statement to something deeper. When you sit down with them and say,
what's a good wording on that?
What was your favorite?
Because I would like to know how to do that.
What was your favorite thing that you did today?
yeah.
I would really love to know that, because like I try to ask, and
When you ask a provoking question, like, it's an age thing too, Thad, to think about. But with the youngers, I always like to ask them, hey, what was your favorite thing today? Because how was your day? Good.
yeah, it's
what
always
was your
good.
favorite thing today? What would
always
be specific?
good. Yeah.
It was gym. It was whatever.
So I took some notes yesterday, actually, on this during Father's Day with my two kiddos. What's something you did today that you feel good about? Was there a moment today that you felt confused or lost? Just when you're spending one-on-one time with them. Did you help anybody today, even in a small way? When did you feel most confident today? Did anyone make you feel unheard or invisible today? What's something you wish you could do differently tomorrow? Like, again, they're incredibly powerful questions that your kids answer, but they're also not the standard where they can just say, I'm fine, or shut down.
Okay,
and we do the same thing with men, right? What was your biggest win in the last week? But when I check on somebody, instead of saying, how you doing? It's fine. Is Bryan and I will connect, and I'll send this in text messages all the time. I go, man, how's your heart today? How was it this last week? You can't answer that with fine. Like, because then you're asking the person to come back with something deep, because it's too deep of a question for you to just pacify and move past.
Right.
And you're exactly right. That's what the presence of God is supposed to do. And that's where the relationship comes from, Bryan, not the church camp weird rules, because it doesn't solve anything, is to move past where we start sensing heaviness in somebody.
Well, to your point on that, though, Kellen, is if you did ask someone that pretty pointed question and they did take a way out on it, now you know there's something wrong. They didn't even have to tell you, hey, dude, how's your heart? It's okay. I don't ever really do that to you. But, we're smart enough to tell with people to where we get an answer to where there's more. And that's okay. There probably is more almost all the time. I mean, when you ask a guy how his heart is, if he's really trying to check the boxes of the desires of what his heart that he shared with us are in most situations, if his heart never has some like lagging, I would be weird about that. I'm like, you're good every time, dude? How? You have this and that, and she's kind of difficult, and you got these kids, and
Just speak the truth.
not his wife, you weirdos. Like someone at work, it wouldn't be his wife. She's perfect and amazing, but
Every marriage is easy.
they're so easy. I just think that men really want more than what most people say they do. And I think men are better than what most people say they are, especially like social media and whatnot. It's just hard as a man. I think what happens with people is they don't understand how emotionally reserved men are and how much it's just bred into you that you've just got to make it. You got to get through it. And you could even grow up in a household to where that wasn't much of a thing, or maybe you were raised by a single mom. There's something inherently inside of men that really wants us to kind of come across or be observed as a tough person. And if I hear a man say, oh, I'm doing pretty good, pretty consistently, I don't really believe that, because I know my situation, and every like third to fourth business day, it sucks a dick. And so honestly, that's how bad it is. Really, at least once a week, there's a peak to where I'm like, this is horrible. Like, this is so horrible that I can't even like handle it. Do you guys know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially if there's a moment that has had a build up before and after it. like because you're already holding on to things. And I think you said really appropriately, like rub some dirt on it, right?
Yeah,
Get over
exactly.
it. That when you fall off your bicycle and you're a 6-year-old boy and you're learning to be a boy, and
right?
You skin your knee, yeah. But like when your best friend passes away, or like I had a guy last week, his friend drowned in front of him. Like you don't rub dirt on the lead. It's real stuff, and I think that's what's not talked about. And when you say the heavy stuff, like people have passed, bad things happen to kids. Somebody got in a car wreck. Somebody's mom's sick. I had a guy. We walked through performance and control with guys this last Friday, Saturday at our retreat, and breaking that thing. And we got an incredible text message from a guy through prayer, and he burnt this thing. He said the thing I'm not leaving with, because of the statement with he and one of his daughters. He's got another daughter, great relationship, but she's just taken a path, and he's tried to be there, but she's holding it against him, which happens when kids are in their upper teens sometimes. And he said, I haven't enjoyed a Father's Day in 3 years. It's been the worst day of the year. And he sent us a text message yesterday because he fully unpacked all of it. He fully felt how he actually feels. Instead of rubbing dirt on it, he felt all the sadness. He mourned the last couple of years of Father's Day. He said, I'm enjoying a Father's Day for the first time in 3 years, and sent us all a long text message. And it made us emotional. I mean, that's the real stuff in life.
It's every day. Bad news at work, lots of stress, not enough money. These things are happening to people all the time.
So, Brian, because you did say something important. If something happened with you, people would pay attention. So what's their first step? Just find a Thad? Is that where people go to, like, if they have nobody in their life?
I say, well, yeah, but here's the thing. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky to have multiple people in my life, either in employment or just in my world, that if too much time kind of went by, it'd be kind of weird, because I am active. I am social. So if you don't hear from me, it's something's up, or maybe it's the one in a million phone died thing. But then again, I'm not the weirdo that's going to lie about it. Dude, if my phone dies, I will absolutely kill someone and steal their charger to plug my phone up. So I'm just sick of all the liars.
That might be why he's so stressed.
I'm sick of all the liars.
All screen time.
I love this one. I'm not handcuffed to my phone. I go, whatever. I'm like,
dude, if you
don't
walk up,
freaking lie.
Well, we can take this like mobile. This is what I would like to do, is expose that. One, ask people what church is and get a response. I think that'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. Is to let a lot of pastors listen to the response of what church is. They should weep. But two, let's just walk around and take people's cell phone and watch them, like a heroin addict, freak out and either scream or attack you.
Or we could do $10
Seems to be like a decent amount of liability on that one, but
hey, you're the one wanting people to tap you.
I think I want to go on South Memorial into Bixby outside of a church and ask questions there, but maybe we'll do that later when one of us has won the lottery or something.
The point is, because I've done this.
When we're not ready to get fought.
No, with a lot of our guys. And so people that I know, let's say there's 3 of us and easy and 10 more, right? I'll walk up when somebody's not doing it and look negative at them and take their phone and just let their body react. And it's gnarly.
Have you seen those memes? You probably have, Thad, where they're there's a big muscle man there, and then there's this dork guy that makes the videos, and he walks past him and just bumps him in the side and keeps going, and the big muscle man looking around. I think those are hilarious.
Is that what Bryan just asked? The same thing, but can a cop please tackle me?
Yes.
I think you should go through one of those bounce places with all the kids.
The trampoline places.
Let him spear you like you're some kind of weird adult.
Like some kind of
no,
ninja.
Yeah, please jump up
at a
and grab a
trampoline
hold of all
park
the
and
stuff.
just
Guys, I'm such an athlete, though. We're going to have to give everyone a head start. I'm going to have to build so many handicaps in this deal.
Brian reminds me saying that, when the dads start racing the kids when they get a little older, and he's like, you're only that fast. When I was playing baseball, and you take off and your hamstring just explodes.
Well, dude, I remember it, vividly. So I was very fast as a teenager, young adult. Still in one race, pretty fast. Proved it recently.
Yeah.
I proved it recently. Unbelievably fast for 45. But honestly, I was pretty fast as a youngster, and I remember it to this day. My dad was 40 years old, and my dad ran track in high school and at the beginning of college. College didn't work out for him, but he had talent. It just came from the wrong spot. Couldn't get it done. My dad had these huge legs at 40. Now, he had the pregnant belly, but he was good for a 40-yard dash. And so me and my buddies were over. I had to be 14-ish, and of course thought I was awesome. And he challenged me to a race in front of my buddies and beat me by a number of strides, a number of them. And that night, he had kind of like this panic attack, and my mom had to take him to the hospital. He had gotten his heart all wiggled out, whatever that was. And it's not a heart attack, but it's kind of one of those things that's like a symptom of, hey, you're going to have a heart attack if you do stupid stuff like this again.
Don't take care of yourself.
And so I think about, I could, easily outrun most cops. I'm saying this to hopefully get one of them to like provoked into this thing. I have the utmost respect for all cops.
The ones that run all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you guys right now, I love
Brian might be faster than me for 100 yards, 200 yards, but
eventually I'm gonna die.
He ain't gonna be faster than me for 5 miles.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I love the reason why I want to do this TikTok videos. I just think it would bring a lot of attention to first responders. That's the whole point of it, is to be able to then bring some attention to them. I love police officers and first responders. The amount of sacrifice these guys have over the last couple of years, I've been able to look kind of behind the scenes a little bit. It's off the charts.
Well, let's go into that. You talk to everybody about burnout. Fit first responders is not just about being physically fit. Yes, it is, but it brings them all into community. They all share and go through some hard workouts together, but it's also something away from being a police officer where they're exerting energy, they're setting goals. Like, too many people's lives is one-dimensional now, and there's so much busy that other people put on them that really all they're doing is living to work instead of actually living life. And if you don't have some kind of faith, right, and that's super depressing too, if you don't even have a belief that something's bigger and kind of living from that place, if you don't pursue some goals with family and marriage, if you don't pursue some goals in fun and then like work and finances, that sucks. And I think most people don't take the time to like reflect and go, whoa, I'm not living a really balanced, full life and have goals in different areas of my life.
Well, at Fit First Responders, we didn't plan on going deep on this today, but it's not just physical, like you said. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's a whole package of what does it take to work towards being the person you want to be when you leave here. This happens all the time, but a couple of years ago, you guys might remember, there was like a big murder-suicide of a family in Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
Firemen are almost always first, in case you guys didn't know. It's almost always firemen to a car accident, to a thing. They're almost always going to be there first. Firemen are trained for life-saving technique. Also, they're trained in like what I call bravery technique, meaning house is on fire, who's going up. It's going to be a fireman or a firewoman. They're going to do it. They're trained for bravery. I think that's awesome. But what happens is 2 firemen on the scene of this spree of a murder-suicide deal of this family. They've got to see this nutso thing. And then they get, a couple of days of leave? Dude, the resources that are available to them, and then the process in which to then take advantage of those resources after that event is negligible at best. And so what FFR is also built around is come here. Come here. Like, it's not like you have to come here and work out today. Come here and let's engage.
Find a safe place.
Let's talk.
Find safe people.
No one's trained in therapy here. This is all about, I'm an outlet. Come here and talk to our people, lift heavy things, start sweating. Let's get into it. And it's remarkable that they engage in it, because what they have on the other side of it, and I don't think that the state or the systems that we have are meaning to not be good. It's just they're not that available. For instance, teenagers with mental health issues. The resources available are almost none from the state. Almost none. And, everyone's like, I just can't believe this and that. Why are we blaming people? They don't know what to do, just like we don't know what to do. How do you fix it? How do you fix hard things? It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and then you got all the people who hate everything that are going to push back and fight you just trying to do good things. And I think what happens is it's just so hard to do anything that matters that people ignore it. And then we have burnout. We have burnout because we don't have a safe place to fall.
Well, because all the water gets pushed up against the dam, and the dam eventually cracks because, like you guys have all said throughout this episode, men were told they got to be tough. They were told they got to be strong. They got to be brave. Like, they got to do all these hard stuff, but they're not taught how to, like, process emotions and process their feelings. And when the water gets too heavy, like the dam breaks and
Right.
all the things happen and all the village is wiped out kind of thing. And so it's like, that's hard.
There's different seasons of life too, and it is hard.
Yeah.
But I think the starting step is understanding, really identifying, just like exactly like an alcoholic going, I drink too much, and just calling it out. Like, I have a problem with alcohol, going, I'm stressed out. Yeah. This is my symptom. This is not normally me. And that's a healthy thing to do. So call it out. But then, you said it best, Bryan, unintentionally, like, don't rely on the dadgum state or the federal government for anything in life. It's red tape, and they need to make a profit off your butt. And the people running it will make sure it's in their best interest. We are created, to get through the seasons that we're in and struggle with healthy people. Then we become a hurt person that used to hurt people. We become a healthy person that can now pour out resources and help others. That's where Fit First Responders came from.
Right.
JC was broken in a season. That's where Band of Brothers has come from. That's where The Journey came from. And these are incredible groups that don't just meet and talk about surface level things. They get real work done. It's deep. And it's also not a you versus me. It's a, hey, you're here with your journey. Where do you want to go? And I want to encourage you and champion you. And that helps me is to help people get there. So there are things in life, but what's available for every person is not this bleak, deep season you're in. It's the other side of it where you now can relate to people going through the same thing and you get them.
Right.
Do you know what a blessing it is, Bryan, if you're going through your hardest season of life for somebody to sit with you that's been in the same place?
Well, it's a huge sacrifice for people to do it because they probably have their own things going on. So, well, guys, burnout is something we're going to talk about a lot. It just blends into so much of life. And so I want to offer some resource to people, something that we've talked about a few times that I think is actually a really good resource for this particular subject is Plumline. I mean, especially locally, if you're struggling and you just need someone to talk to, here's what I'm telling you. At least get to talking. Let's get you there. Don't give up. Don't mail it in. Don't roll up in a ball. Let's get you at least into one conversation. Either message us on the Facebook app that we're on right now. Message us on our page. Message us in the DMs. You can also
us personally, shoot us a text,
reach out personally,
send us a DM on all the social medias.
We're going to link in Plumline Ministries into the
show notes
podcast as well. And click on that link. You can schedule an appointment. I'm begging you, if you're in a situation where you're at this burnout place or at this I don't know what else to do place, click that link, have one conversation, and let's go from there. One conversation. So we would love everyone to be able to rate us and review us.
Even if you don't like us.
Yeah, if you don't like us, please do it. I'm going to delete it, but still, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to delete
useful
it.
Feedback. Yeah.
We need the feedback. Whatever platform you're on, we're always posting the Apple iTunes link, iHeart link, and Spotify link. So whatever platform you happen to listen to, you're going to have an easy rate and review right there on their page. It's usually at the bottom.
Do a shout out for easy there? Is that just one of your words?
Did I say easy?
No, you said easy. I thought you were talking about the guy making steak last Friday.
No. And he made steak last night, too. It's unbelievable. But no, easy as in EASY, not easy. So, anyways, great conversation today. We hope you guys join us again on the next one. And don't forget to
Get canceled.